If I can have everybody's attention. Gentlemen, let's have a seat. So, the question came up about what I was like when I was a youngster. And I had hair. I did, believe it or not, have hair at one point in my life.
Do you have a lot of girls?
I got married. Now, that would be me.
Oh my God, you look so different!
I was right. I was right. You look so
17 years old.
That is not you.
That's definitely
Hold up. Wait. That doesn't even look like you.
I was right. You look hot. Gold.
Oh, it's Robert. That doesn't even look like you. Barely looks like that. It doesn't even look like you. Let me see that. Get it.
It's definitely me. There's no question about that.
Let me see.
Come on, you're Jason, right? Yeah. You see, I called the Euro hot back then.
I know that my fellow guys feel that I'm hot. So that was big blue point. Yep. Now,
You still have that book?
Josh is out when Josh gets back.
Oh, we're versing today.
Nice. So, all right. Excuse me. Your attention, please. Thank you so much. Yes, back in the day we feathered our hair.
Like Hunter.
Parted it in the middle,
No, girl, I don't
back to
like
the
that.
side.
That's my dad.
That was like that.
Now, God, boys have changed.
See, now it's like that. It looks so
No, I see a whole bunch of guys actually working with their hair. I mean, we never did that when we were kids. It's just, it wasn't there. All right. Now,
Davis, what are you doing?
all right, listen.
Did I ask?
Joking around is a good thing. But when it gets to the point where it's in the way of learning, it's a bad thing. So, Ava, turn. Knees under desk. Okay, now, so much of what we do, so much of what we do is constantly reinforce the right way to do things. I learned a long time ago as a coach, a very, very great coach by the name of Tom Grimm, was talking to me about general coaching philosophy once, and he said that the more I make practice like the game, and the more I make the game like practice, the more successful my team would be. And I've taken that to heart, and I also do the same exact thing in math class. The kind of questions that you get on the do it are the kind of questions that you get on the test. The kind of questions you get on the test are the kind of questions that you would get on the state test, even though very few of you would take that state test. Because I want to make sure that you're getting prepared for what you are expected to be able to do. So we take a look at number one, -3 to the 0. What's the correct answer here? Everybody. -1. If you said 1, you have to understand, Michelle, ahead in the game, come on, a little bit. There we go, now we're getting there. Anything to the 0 other than 0, to the 0, anything to the 0 is 1, and then I have to negate it, so it's -1. Now, express the quotient, and I think based on what we talked about yesterday, people would be very good about realizing this is 10 to the -8. But some people, and I know this because I've given tests on this stuff for the last 3 years, some people will write 4 times 10 to the 8. And it's not 4. It's not 1 divided by 4, it's 4. I'm sorry, it's not 4 divided by 1, it's 1 divided by 4. So I have to do 4 goes into 1.0. And that would, 4 goes into 10, bring up the decimal twice. That's 8. Bring it down as 2, bring down the other 0, there are an infinite number of them. 4 goes into 25 times, so I get 0.25. And that leads me to a problem. In scientific notation, we do not write our numbers 0.25. It has to be a number between greater than or equal to 1, less than 10. 0.25, I need to move that decimal one place to the right. To do that, I need to multiply by 10. which means over here I need to divide by 10. So my final answer is 2.5 times 10 to the negative 9. Because negative 8 minus a 1, 8 negatives, 1 more negative is 9 negatives. Okay? Any question on number 2? That's a little tricky. This is the second day in a row we've concentrated on this. You're going to see it again Monday, probably see it again Tuesday, but I would, if I were you, I would be prepared for something like that on the test. God bless. You have seen one of my tests so far, but I never create a test that doesn't reflect the kind of questions that we do consistently on the do it and consistently on the quizzes. The test always aligns with what's going on there, because that way it's fair to you guys. All right, next, 1/9. Now I look at all the choices here, and I see that the base is 3. So that means the base here has to be 3. I see it's a reciprocal, 1 over, so I know it has to be negative. 3 to what power will get you 9? 3 what? Everybody. No, 3 to the 3 is not 9, 3 squared. Right, because that means use 3 as a factor twice. So what I want to do at this point, boys, you got to get your focus here, right? What I want to do at this point is I want to do all of these and see if one of them doesn't work out to 3 to the negative 2. Now, they all have, well, that one actually didn't have a base of 3. Well, this one, there's no way this is equivalent. D is not equivalent. If one of them's a 3 and one of them's a 5. That'll never work. This is negative 3 to the negative 2, and it does work out the same because when I square the negative 3, it works out to a positive. This is negative 2, which is obviously the same. This is positive 2, so C is also not the same. So C and D both are not equal. Okay, any questions? All right, now, the quizzes, the next 2 quizzes that you take are going to be chock full of questions like A, B, and C. So if you can do questions A, B, and C and get them right, you're going to get good grades on your next quiz. If you have a hard time with this, you really need to make sure that you get extra help to get this done.
Wait, the next 2 like rounds of quizzes or the next 2?
The rounds of quizzes. Okay, well said. All right, so let's take a look at A. Oh. Is this a same side situation or opposite side? Same side. Same side?
Same operation.
4n's plus 1n is 5n. 7 and negative 4 make plus 3 equals negative 17. Now, I did notice, and again, I did notice that in some cases on quizzes and homeworks, this step is giving some people a little bit of a hard time. Now, everybody knows to do the negative 3, but some people, everybody knows to put 5n, some people are putting negative 14. If I have 17 negatives, and I have 3 more negatives, what do I have? Negative 20. Then I would divide by 5, and is negative 4. Right, when I divide by a positive, I keep the sign. Okay. Next, is this a same side situation or an opposite side? Opposite side? All right, Chris, are we paying attention here or what? Okay. Now, this says positive 4h. Who has to go to the bathroom? Okay. This is a positive 4h. Diego, you can go next. So now I do minus 4h. Die. 7h's minus 4h's is 3h plus 6 is negative 15. Very similar to before. I do my negative 6's, and now I get 15 negatives and 6 negatives. 3h is negative 21. Divide by 3. H is negative 7. And then we distribute the 11. 22x minus 33 equals 33. Very straightforward here. Add 33 to both sides. Die. 22x is 66. Divide by 22. Why the giggles?
3.
X equals 3. One of the really important things that we have to learn to do as we get a little bit older, stop. One of the really important things that we learn to do as we get older is we learn when it's work time and when it's joke around time. Joking around is not a bad thing. Joking around is really good. Laughing is great. But there's a time and a place where it has to be that way, because at the expense of not being able to concentrate is learning. And if you don't end up learning, it's not good. Now, some people might turn around and say legitimately, not, they're right about this, some people. They'll say, but I already know this stuff, so it's really not a big deal, I got them all right. But the problem is then you distract people around you. And when you distract people around you, then it's very unfair to them. And there are some people that see math for the first time and they do really well with it. Like, it's funny, I've told you before about my friend out in California. She's really good at science. She's great at science. The one thing she doesn't, she's not bad at math, but she's not really good at math. And she has said to me, we actually planned, she has to take this pre-calculus course or calculus or whatever it is, I'm not even sure. I think it's pre-calc. And she said, I don't know what to do, I'm afraid I could fail that class. So I said, well, I'll help you. So we're actually gonna end up Skyping back and forth, where she'll like show me the question and then I'll help her as she goes through it to see if she's able to get it right, because math comes hard for her. So there are people in here who have 85, 90 averages and they're doing great and they're doing wonderful, but there are people in here who have 60 averages and work hard. And it's really important to understand that for the sake of those people, if it's work time and you're taking it as playtime, laugh, joke, giggle time, if it interrupts their learning, then that's really, really injurious or harmful, and we don't want that to happen. Okay, so, now, we're going to talk about what we talked about yesterday. Everybody here do 2x plus 3 equals 10. I think everybody in the room can do that question. You're gonna get an ugly fraction answer, but that's okay. It should be really easy for all of us. Now, all of those are good. I always caution kids against converting to a decimal because decimals are very, very dangerous. If it comes out to an ending number like 3.25 or 3.5, kids will usually get it right. But a lot of times kids want to round off. And if the directions don't tell you to round off, Lenny, head the game. If the directions don't tell you to round off, Joe, then what's going to happen is you round off, you're going to get it wrong every time. Manny? Yeah. So it's a very big deal. Yes?
So if those pop up in the quiz, do we put in a fraction or is it?
Yeah, I would definitely leave it as a fraction.
Would you take out -5 and 3?
I would mark it completely wrong if you rounded off and it didn't tell you to.
No, but what if we put it like 3.5, would we get like 5.5?
Not if your decimal equivalent is correct, then I would accept it.
Okay. Oh.
So, it's not like it makes you wrong to do it. It's just that you might be wrong, and we don't want that to happen. Juan Diego refresh. Okay, now we have one that looks a little strange.
Yeah.
We talked yesterday about what the phrase solve for x means. What does solve for x mean? Get x alone. Get x all by itself. So, that's what I did here. I got x all by itself. Let me carry the same strategy here. First thing I gotta get rid of is this -5. So I get yx equals a plus 5. Now, there's actually something about these questions that are a lot easier. A whole lot easier. See, you never have to do k plus 5. Anybody ever do something stupid and do like 4 plus 5 is 8? Right here, I have.
Oh, yeah. Yesterday, she did 3 plus 5 is, 3 plus 2 is 6.
There you go. Now, the cool thing about this is, when you see something like k plus 5, that's it. You can't add it together. It's completely done. Ava? There goes back. Now, I still don't have x all by itself. So the y is being multiplied by the x here, so I have to do the opposite and divide by the y here. And I get x equals k plus 5 over y. Okay? And that would be solving for x. Getting x alone, getting x all by itself. Any questions? Good, you try the next one. Okay. Now, it says solve for D. So as soon as you read the directions, solve for D, what does that mean to you? Get D alone. Get D all by itself, boys. So what is stopping D from being all by itself? Well, the first thing I notice is it says minus n here. So I got to get rid of that with a plus n. So I get c plus n equals pi d. Now, this pi is a strange looking symbol, but it doesn't matter. What matters is that that strange looking symbol is being multiplied by d. So I need to do the opposite and divide by that strange looking symbol. And I get d equals c plus n over pi.
Oh man, I forgot that part.
Okay?
Is it supposed to be pi equal 5?
It's, first off, I think what you're referring to is 3.14. But this is a really good example. Pi does not equal 3.14.
I know.
It's really close. In fact, you can never, ever, ever express pi as a decimal that stops or repeats. It's called an irrational number, and it goes on forever and ever. We'll talk more about it later in the year, but that's why we use the symbol pi, because it makes it clearly understood. Okay, now try the next two. Go ahead. First one says solve for L. That means get L by itself. Next one says solve for H. That means get H by itself. Under a minute. Okay. Now. Oh, that's what I came over here for. I have to mark you off. All right. Now. Someone's shaking their desk and making a birdie sound. What'd you do, get a boo-boo on the end of your nose?
Yeah.
Can I tell you what I did to my best friend growing up in high school?
Well,
We were like 9 or 10 years old, a couple of times. 9 or 10 years old. No, I'm sorry, take it back, 9th or 10th grade. You guys know Blue Point Dock?
Yeah.
All right, I used to love to go snapper fishing at Blue Point Dock. Crabbing, used to do that all the time when I was a kid growing up. So what we would always do is get on a bicycle, and I had these old style of bicycles, not like now, and we used to have baskets on the back and everything.
I have one of those.
And we would load the baskets up with fishing gear, like you put the tackle box in there, you put a couple of crab traps in there, you put the bait in there. Then we'd have like 4 fishing poles in our hands, and then we'd have the crab net in our hands. And then we'd also put somewhere on the bike some crab lines, so you could throw out like chicken drumsticks and stuff, the wings and stuff like that. Chicken neck. So, and then we would ride down there. Now, to get where I live down to Blue Point Dock, you had to go down Blue Point Avenue. And Blue Point Avenue has that steep part that goes under the railroad trestle.
Yeah.
So we were waiting at the light at the corner of Bell Avenue and Montauk Highway, which is right across kind of diagonally from Blue Point Avenue. And some old guy, like really, really old guy, pulls up in a car. Now my best friend Bobby was sitting on my handlebars as I was riding the bike, and we had all that stuff in our hands. And he just looks at us and he goes, we go, what? He goes, somebody's gonna get hurt. We said, we do this all the time, nobody's gonna get hurt.
Let me guess.
So then we start riding the bike down Blue Point Avenue, or I start pedaling and Bobby's sitting on the handlebars. And we start going down the hill. Now what happens when you're on a bike and you're going downhill? Faster and faster and faster. Well, the crab trap slipped. Not the crab trap, sorry, the crab net. Slipped and went at an angle and got stuck between the spokes of the bike and jammed up. So the bike stopped in a hurry and Bobby went airborne off of the handlebars. And the first thing that hit the ground was his nose. And from here to here, he just ripped the skin right off his nose. So we called him Rudolph for a couple of weeks. All right.
You're sorry.
Now, yes, he definitely flew airborne. Okay. Solve for L. Moral to the story is don't ride a bike full of crab traps down, crab stuff down Blue Point Avenue. Solve for L.
So we can ride it down
P
South
equals,
Ocean Avenue?
P equals 2L plus 2H. Now, I gotta get L by itself, so the first thing I'm gonna do is minus the 2H. P minus 2H equals 2L. Divide by 2, die. P minus 2H divided by 2. Okay? Any questions? I hear a little bit of mumbling, people distracted. Are we good? Next up, B equals LWH. Solve for H, get H by itself. H is being multiplied by both L and W, so I need to divide by L and W. Die. H equals B over LW. And that would be that. Any questions? Okay. So we've done 2 days now of solving for the variable. You should be pretty comfortable with it. Get started on that. Now, Ava, I got another picture to show you, Ava. I got another picture to show you. This time when I'm 16 years old.
I'm kidding. Let me see that. I can't even see it. I'm blind. I'm still blind.
Those are the first team I ever coached in my life.
Oh, yeah.
I've been coaching them for about 2 or 3 years at that point.
Okay, you keep it.
So,
Keep it. Too late.
Get in where?
Anthony touched me. I'm gonna draw my skin.